Hello guys, it's D to the B, the one and only, here to talk about a story that I think you guys have been expecting me to cover and wondering why it's been taking so long. Well, I have things going on in my life, which many of you already know, so let's not even get into that. So, the possibility of George Lucas returning. So, this is an interesting topic that I've been hearing a lot on the internet recently. I remember a friend of mine sending me a link to a video about how George Lucas is coming back. Now, I knew at first that this wasn't going to happen because there were multiple facts, and I thought the whole thing was made up. But then, after I watched the video and basically explained to him why I don't think he's coming back, and also posted an article of him defending Disney, yeah, I'm not happy about that. I think he still hates what they did to his franchise, but just not enough to backstab them and take the franchise back because, A, Bob Iger and George Lucas were friends before this whole thing. I think they're still friends. I'm pretty sure he's an investor of Disney, getting investments from every movie. There's a whole story about that I'm not going to get into. Then I happily went on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am D to the B, the Lego Man. I will plug that into the description if you want to follow me on Instagram. I basically just post a bunch of random stuff. And I saw a clip from Star Wars Theory about where this rumor of George Lucas coming back came from. Apparently, Star Wars Theory did a stream with the guy who created the original lightsaber for Luke Skywalker. And I'm pretty sure also did some sabers for like the Phantom Menace. And he basically had this to say.
I think he's coming back, I'm pretty sure now that he's doing a series. I think that they're now bringing him into the fold. From what I hear, because there's a Star Wars live action series coming, and I've got a strong suspicion that George will have something to do with that. That's what I think it is, and I might be prophesying.
Are you pulling my leg?
No. That's what I had heard and read, and I don't know from anything apart from I'm prophesizing that might happen, because you've seen he's been very physically present there. He's been down on the sets and everything. And Dave Filoni has done such an incredible job of being George and bringing back everything that George...
He's I always say, and Dave gets a lot of flack just as George did, but he is the only sort of the closest thing we have to George there. I think. I think Jon Favreau does a good job too. I don't know.
Yeah, he does.
With a few of the projects there, but
he's fantastic.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't believe it's true. We had a similar rumor a while back from Overlord DVD, which is a channel that I used to follow, but I don't really follow anymore because I feel like he's kind of like the YouTube channel Mike Zero. Granted, I think he does a better job than Mike Zero does. At least he says they're rumors. At least. Or Mike Zero just says, oh, it's complete facts. Gina's coming back. George is coming back. It's going to be... Shut up, Mike Zero. Anyway, it's an interesting topic, and the idea of a live action series that George Lucas is involved with sounds really cool. Like a series he was full blown involved with. Now, technically, he has been in the behind the scenes of Disney Star Wars before. I can name 2 times that I've heard, and one of them we actually have physical evidence of it. One, from what I've heard, that George Lucas was somewhat involved with Rogue One because the director wanted to basically pay tribute to his franchise and asked George Lucas for advice in helping writing the thing. But that was kind of undercut by Kathleen Kennedy. Rogue One's still a good movie, but personally to me, I kind of want to see those deleted scenes that was in the original version. I want to see what originally the movie was going to be like. Anyway, another one, as everyone would know if they pay attention to online or Disney Plus, I forget where this came from. George Lucas was involved in some behind of the scenes with The Mandalorian, specifically the Ahsoka episode. Now, I don't think he directed an episode or was heavily involved with the directing of the episode, because I think he was just there to see the progress of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So I don't know nothing about that. All I know is he was there. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. And then also the article, as I mentioned earlier. So allegedly, George Lucas is going to have a live-action Star Wars series in the works. Technically, if it were true, it would be nice if he did the live-action series that was supposed to come out, that I wish came out. I'm pretty sure it was called like Star Wars Underworlds, which Disney, you have the money, you should finish the special effects on those and release them for next year's vintage collection, if you have the decency. Because I want to see that show. I want to see that show come to life. From all the things I've been hearing, I just want it. But I know you're not gonna, because you suck. Now, I'm gonna bring this to evidence. As I mentioned Lord DVD earlier, Lord DVD had a similar story that he covered like a while back before I took everything he said seriously. Basically he made the story, or read the story, or article, whatever. He basically said behind the scenes for his Disney spies that he may or may not have, that George Lucas and Jon Favreau were going to work on a show together talking about the Wills. If you don't know, the Wills are basically, actually, I don't know what the Wills are exactly. The Wills have been going, they're basically the Force. I'm going to go with that. I think that's the easiest way to explain the Wills. Because the Wills has went like through two changes. Like the first Wills I think were basically like the Wills of the Force or some microorganism. I can't remember. Kind of like the midichlorians a bit. And then Disney's version of the Wills, they are like beings that like watch the Tales of the Force or something like that. I'm not sure. But we were going to get that and I was so hyped, but guess what? It never ended up happening. And that's kind of why I'm no longer subscribed to Overlord DVD, because with all the stuff Disney releases with Star Wars, not caring if they MCU-ify the franchise, which is something that I am not for, because those separate universes work on their own thing. The MCU works on the comedic humor, well, at least the first 3 phases did, and 2 Phase 4 movies where the rest of the franchise just fell off a bridge. And Star Wars is supposed to be like a seriously taken story. Now, yes, Star Wars does have its humor here and there, but it's not MCU humor, where the point of the MCU humor is to make fun of things about their franchise, and it worked for the first 3 phases. Now it's become a complete joke. But who cares what the MCU has become? We all know, unless if you're a Disney show, we all know how bad the MCU has become. Now let's go back to George Lucas coming back. Look, I like George Lucas. I've always liked him. I've never had a problem with George Lucas. I didn't even know the people had a problem with George Lucas at first until I deep dived into the internet. I liked his original 6 movies. I thought they were good. And originally, I didn't mind Disney Star Wars at first with like The Force Awakens, because I thought George was in the helm until I, again, was on the internet. But then the franchise just kept getting worse and worse, and it's so bad that it's beyond repair. And I think Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers made a really good point. Even if George comes back, he won't be able to do what he wants to do because Disney is in control. They won't give him the creative freedom unless if Disney just backs up from him and lets him cook. But we know that's not going to happen because Disney is one of those corporations where they're like, hey, we actually want you to do this and all this garbage, even though it can ruin our franchise. Just basically movie studio stuff. And it's kind of confusing why George stood with Disney recently on this. I still like George Lucas. He's a good director. I think the franchise would do much better under him. That is my opinion, and I will stick with my opinion, because after all the stuff that Disney has done to Star Wars, I just believe that he is the only one able to save the franchise, and I'm sorry, but I don't think he's coming back. If he comes back, cool, awesome. George Lucas, the original creator of Star Wars, fixing the franchise. I would love that. I would love him to come back into Lucasfilm and basically run over everything Kathleen Kennedy did. Keep a few things here and there for Disney canon, the stuff that's actually good, which is very rare, but run over all of that garbage Disney has created over the years. Like, most of the expanded novels from Disney, they suck. I only read like one book, and that was the Ahsoka novel, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but just from all the stuff I've heard about the other novels, like High Republic, apparently in High Republic, one of the things is Jedi can have a relationship, but they can't be in love during that relationship, which actually makes no sense at all. Because why would you have a relationship in that way with somebody if you don't love them? That doesn't make any sense. That was the whole point Anakin turned to the dark side, was because he had one of those relationships with Padme. Not the, you know what I mean. Like, he had a relationship with Padme because he loved her. And a bunch of retcons and stupid stuff like that, like, just ruining the franchise. Now, I've heard there are a few good books, like there's a Thrawn book in the Disney canon, I've heard it's not bad. I've also heard that there's a Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan book that Disney has also done that isn't that bad. But just most of Disney stuff is garbage. And except for the Fallen Order games, most of their game catalog sucks. Well, granted, we can't really judge that because Disney's... it's not entirely Disney's fault on this one. This was more EA's fault because they kept canceling their games. Like, there's so many projects that, for video games, we were getting, like, Star Wars Ragtag and so many more that I can't even think of. But they scrapped them all because, they don't want to have non-multiplayer games. Until they did Jedi Fallen Order, and it was received well. And then they made a sequel, which I think has also been received well. But now look what games we're going to be getting next. We're going to get Outlaws at some point, I'm pretty sure this year. And that game looks stupid. Like, really looks stupid. It's just everything that I hate about modern Disney Star Wars. And then let's not forget Star Wars Eclipse. That new video game that's coming out where it's going to be an eclipse in Star Wars. And there are these weird alien drum people that look so cool. Wow, I love Disney Star Wars. I think you get my point. Just nothing in Disney Star Wars except for, I'd say, the Filoni stuff is good. Say what you want about Filoni. I know there are a few people who don't like Dave Filoni, and that's fair. I think now doing more research on things, I think Filoni has kind of retcon. Who am I kidding? He retconned a bunch of stuff in the expanded universe, but I still like his content. I did grow up with his stuff. But anyway, enough about that. George isn't coming back, guys. You can tell me in the comments, like 20 years later, George Lucas is back in the franchise. Then you can tell me I was wrong. I'm okay with admitting I was wrong. But at the moment, no, he's not coming back. As much as I want him to, he will never come back to this franchise. Because too much damage has been done. I don't think, even if he did come back, I don't think the franchise could be fixed unless if they give him full control, which knowing Disney, that's never going to happen. But yeah, that's just my opinion on the subject. What do you guys think? I'm going to be positive for a bit. Do you think George Lucas is coming back, or do you think he's going to not come back like I do? Tell me in the comments, and have a nice day, everyone.